Welcome to Freda Chando Analysis, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for your continued support. I have followed all the politicians in Kenya and how they cope up with the aftermath of the just contested presidential elections. And in particular, my attention is drawn to the Mount Kenya leaders. And I am almost concluding that the Mount Kenya leaders are holding President William Ruto hostage. I'm saying this because I have listened to Mount Kenya leaders led by our Deputy President, Mr. Rigathi. Every Sunday when they go to churches, and those churches are transformed into campaign podiums. And there has been one message to the president. They have kept on reminding the president that they voted for him. And in their message, they tell him that we not only voted for you to the last man, but we did so under very difficult circumstances. We were persecuted, and our predicaments came as a result of voting for you when the idea was unpopular in the eye of the former president Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
Your Excellency, hao watu ya Nyandarua ni watu wako na walikuunga mkono. Vitisho ikakuwa mingi, hao maaskofu wakatishwa, hao viongozi akina Faith Kitau wakatishwa. Wengi wachache wakanunua uoga, wale majority wakasema ni watoto ya maumau, na hao wakakuchagua kwa kauli moja.
And with this, ladies and gentlemen, I have a feeling that Mount Kenya leaders are still held in the past, and with this it will block them from facing the future, politically speaking. Before we delve so much into this discussion, I want to request you with profound humility to subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and give our videos many likes. Why do I have a problem, ladies and gentlemen, with the leaders who keep on reminding the president that they voted for him, and because they voted for him under circumstances that were very painful, so the president needs to be their own? You see, William Ruto is fully coming into terms with the fact that he is no longer a president of the Kenya Kwanza. He is no longer a Kenya Kwanza president, but he is the president of Kenya. And this is the reason why recently he is agitating for the creation of a new office for the opposition leader. And many think that yes, he wants to tame Raila Amolo Odinga, but that's a story for another day. The truth is, he's realizing that he needs to accommodate everyone if he has to implement all the promises that he gave to Kenyans. You've seen him trying to woo even the governors that are allied to the Azimio. The other day, he was with Simba Arati in State House. And just Juzi, he was in Western Kenya, and he implemented projects and promised them several development agendas. People like Francis Atwoli, who was his closest nemesis, who said that he was not going to become the president. And many thought that when he gets to power, they would even not see eye to eye, is now in his camp. And it's slowly turning out that William Ruto understands fully well that he needs everyone. Now, the problem with this is that while Mount Kenya leaders still believe and are struggling and are obsessed with this idea of showing and showcasing, telling everyone that they own the president is moving on to include other people. And very soon you are going to see a very big rift caused by this fact that the president is looking for other people. And when the president will get a replacement, then I'm telling you, Mount Kenya will be dropped. Because William Ruto is a seasoned politician. And it is not like he does not see what is happening. He understands very well the language, whether direct or coded, from these Mount Kenya leaders. And this is the reason why I have a problem with it. Number two, when other regions are fighting for their share of the cake and they are talking about their people, I have realized that Mount Kenya leaders are no longer talking about the ordinary mwananchi. The talks about minimum return, the talks about one man, 1 shilling, 1 vote is no longer there. I do not hear these talks about coffee, pyrethrum and tea farmers. The discussion has become one of, we the leaders, we voted for you. You are our president. You should not go and look for someone to form another government. It is you and us. And I have a problem because while other regions are really fighting to get their fair share of the cakes for their people, the Mount Kenya leaders have turned the discussion to be their own and how they were persecuted and how they voted for William Ruto when the former President Uhuru Kenyatta was, persecuting them. And, this is one thing I have a problem with. Let me ask you, ladies and gentlemen, am I reading too much? Am I the only person who feels that the leaders in Mount Kenya have lost it? It looks to me that they did not have any plan beyond elections. I have realized that while they were thriving in trying to insult Raila Amolo Odinga and painting him in bad faith and telling their people not to vote for him, they are still obsessed with calling his name in churches. We are not campaigning. We need to get down and give our people what we promised them. And while doing this, we need to realize that we are past the campaigns. Campaigns are behind us and we are moving on. We also need to understand that William Samoei Ruto is no longer the Kenya Kwanza leaders they thought. He is now the president of Kenya. I have said here that when William Ruto attends a summit or some conference, maybe in the US, he is recognized as the president of Kenya. And when he arises to go and speak to the world, they say the president of Kenya is talking. They no longer recognize him as the Kenya Kwanza president. And so, the leaders in Mount Kenya, ladies and gentlemen, should be put to task by the very hustlers from Mount Kenya to change the conversation from them voting for William Ruto, from trying to hold him hostage, and let him free and start talking about matters that are pertinent to the ordinary mwananchi. Ladies and gentlemen, Ikwera. These leaders are doing a disservice to their ordinary mwananchi. I have a feeling that they need to wake up. That they need to stand up and start. I have listened when William Ruto was campaigning, and he used to say that we are going to change this conversation from the big men in big offices to the common man, to the hustler. But now, after taking oath of office, instead of Bwana Rigathi and Ndindi Nyoro and Kimani Ichung'wah and all those leaders fighting for their ordinary people, fighting on behalf of the hustlers, they are now talking and crying foul of how they were persecuted. If you look at the man they are talking about, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, Uhuru is busy trying to contain violence in Congo and he wants to bring peace and tranquility. Uhuru Kenyatta has decided to stay away from the Kenyan politics. In fact, very soon he's going to resign as the chairman of the Azimio Council. But yet they still want to drag their name into what I just call, for lack of a better term, cheap politics. They have said they don't need any kind of handshake. But if you see what is happening between William Ruto and Raila Amolo Odinga, this is another handshake that is meant to bring peace into this country. If you are a Kenya Kwanza supporter, ladies and gentlemen, tell me, and if you have been following the conversations, especially on Sundays in our churches, do you think the conversations are still about you, the hustler, the cost of living? Are they demanding for the cost of living to come down? Are they still championing for your rights and your needs? Because if you ask me, this is not what is happening. Do you think these leaders need to change? Do you think they are still held in the past? And do you think very soon they will realize that other regions are moving? And do you feel that William Ruto also understands? Because even in Rift Valley, William Ruto comes from Rift Valley and Ruto is their man. But I don't see them behaving like the leaders who come from Mount Kenya. A friend of mine, a senior political pundit, was saying that when they realized that the GMO material was being brought behind the back door into our country, led by Cheregai, they complained, even though William Ruto comes from their region. What about our Mount Kenya leaders? They keep on praising William Ruto, wanampaka mafuta. Rise up and speak on behalf of your ordinary men. That is my take, ladies and gentlemen.